Hi and welcome to ThePrint. My name is Karanjeet Kaur. I'm a journalist and an editor. Let's talk today about a new documentary out of Goa that looks at the life of Satish Bhaskar. 7 years is a long gestation period for a documentary with a runtime of only 75 minutes. But perhaps even that's not enough to capture the decades-long pioneering work of India's turtle man, the late Satish Bhaskar. In the 1970s, the shy Bhaskar achieved something truly remarkable. He walked most of India's coastline of 7,516 kilometers to discover and mark sea turtle habitats. He was armed with little more than scant information, a small transistor radio, limited institutional support, and no plan B. Yet, Bhaskar conducted primary research that set the baseline for turtle conservation efforts in India. And he did it all by himself, like a numeric hero. Bhaskar is the subject of an affecting new documentary called Turtle Walker by Malaney. Produced by Imaho Films, Malaney's Goa-based studio, the film was recently screened at Doc NYC. It has already received the Grand Teton Award, the highest honor at the Jackson Wild Media Awards. It's a little difficult to believe that this rousing ode to Bhaskar's spirit of adventure is Malaney's directorial debut, but it's easy to see why well-known production companies like Tiger Baby, which is owned by film directors Zoya Akhtar and Rima Kagti, and the Oscar-winning HHMI Tangle Bank Studios have chosen to back it. Now, Turtle Walker is very far from being a stodgy nature film with a hectoring tone. It is more than just a chronicle of Satish Bhaskar's solitary odyssey along India's coastline. It's a meditation on devotion and the sense of wonder that the natural world can inspire. The kind that drove Bhaskar to spend months alone on uninhabited islands, mapping the ancient chemistry of enigmatic marine creatures. Yet, as Bhaskar says in the documentary, I never felt alone. He's recalling a sea turtle laying eggs beside his ramshackle hut in Suhelipara, which is a remote island in Lakshadweep. That's Bhaskar most likely papering over the emotional lows of his incredible journey. He sometimes spent 9 months at a stretch with not a soul to talk to, and resorted to writing letters in glass bottles to his cheerful wife Brenda. One even made its way to her via Sri Lanka. Most of Bhaskar's time, however, was devoted to the single-minded pursuit of understanding sea turtles. Over his career, he authored nearly 50 reports and papers. His almost inconceivable journey took him to Kerala, Gujarat, Andhra Pradesh, Odisha, the Andaman and Nicobar Islands, and West Papua in Indonesia. In Suheli, Bhaskar realized that there was no way for him to keep returning to the island during the monsoon, which is when sea turtles actually nest. So he decided to maroon himself for the entirety of the season. Perhaps his most satisfying time was spent on South Reef Island in North Andamans, where he studied the nesting biology of hawksbills, the most solitary of sea turtles. Sadly, the island was devastated by the 2004 tsunami. According to Malaney, Bhaskar longed to return to South Reef, prompting the crew to accompany him there during production. Predictably, the island was too hazardous to approach by boat. We weren't prepared for him to just dive in, Malaney told me. Despite the Forest Department's reluctance and the treacherous conditions, Bhaskar, who was by then 73 and battling trigeminal neuralgia, which is a very painful nerve condition, donned his fins and entered the water that had defined his life's work. The crew scrambled to keep up, a testament to his indomitable spirit. The opportunity to witness how a lifetime of fealty to nature leaves indelible marks. For Malaney, the journey to Turtle Walker began far from the shores of South Reef. Growing up in Mumbai with parents who ran a camping group in Maharashtra, she developed an early intimacy with the natural world. Malaney told me that she was surprised to see that in urban India, there is a fear of nature. While working with Reef Watch, a marine conservation NGO in the Andaman and Nicobar Islands, Malaney uncovered a paradox. Local children living by the ocean had never actually swum in it. This realization became the backbone of her work to create bridges between people and wild spaces beyond their comfort zones. Turtle Walker began as a modest addition to Malaney's conservation film series. The first was called A Living Legacy and was about Coorg's Sai Sanctuary. The second one, called The Call of Pashmina, was about Ladakh's Changpa tribe and the effects of climate change. But the project soon evolved into something far more ambitious. The catalyst was an article by herpetologist Rom Whittaker, which was full of old jungle sayings about Bhaskar. These stories led Malaney to him, and she found that he lived just an hour away from her in Goa. Now, in the absence of any archival footage, Malaney and her team relied on creative reconstruction of Bhaskar's travels. The decision to dramatize came after studying films like Jago, A Life Underwater from 2015. The co-director of Jago is James Reed, who is also part of the directorial team of the Oscar-winning docu My Octopus Teacher. Reed also serves as Turtle Walker's executive producer. Artist Rohan Joglekar, who embodies the young Bhaskar, emerged from the production's careful attention to authenticity. Beyond preserving Bhaskar's legacy, Turtle Walker has turned into a living document of ongoing conservation. For 5 years, Malaney and her team have led impact campaigns that will hopefully transform viewer engagement into tangible action. Their Marine Mammal and Megafauna Stranding network, a rescue and response program in Goa, mirrors Bhaskar's spirit of hands-on conservation. The program has responded to over 440 strandings of dolphins, whales, turtles, and sharks, working with local lifeguards who are trained as the first responders. The network's work has also uncovered new challenges that Bhaskar could not have foreseen. An antibiotics resilience study highlights how modern effluents are creating resistant strains in marine life, adding complexity to conservation efforts. Yet, within these challenges lies hope. Every rescue represents another thread in the expanding web of marine conservation that Bhaskar began weaving decades ago. Like the bottle letter that crossed oceans to reach his wife, Turtle Walker carries its own message, that the dedication of one individual can ripple outwards, touching shores they may never have imagined reaching.